All right, sweetheart. Thanks for joining me this week. Very appreciated. Last week we had Rhonda here. This week the hood is on. Everyone, Bill Apter down here at Apter's Alley, and thanks for coming in and joining us for week 2 of the AEW NXT WWW Wednesday Night Wrestling Wars, as I call it. And it was an interesting night. But before I call Mac Davis. Welcome, everybody. Before I call Mac Davis, I like to call this show Mac and Me. Now, has nothing to do with mac and cheese, unless you want to call me cheese, of course. That's all right. But before we discuss AEW and NXT tonight, I did take a lot of notes, and I enjoyed both shows. But I want to discuss NWA. The National Wrestling Alliance came out this week with their YouTube show, NWA Power, and it was like it was riveting to me because it was a throwback. It was a throwback to the old Georgia Championship Wrestling days. That agree, Miss Wrestling number 2?
Agreed, Bill.
So if you get a chance, make sure you go to the NWA Power show on YouTube, as more people are joining us here. We're just waiting for some more people to come in. But go to YouTube and put in NWA Power and take a look at that show and let me know what you thought about it. So Raziel Ramos wants to know, hey, Mr. Bill, what are your thoughts on rapper Master P buying House of Glory Wrestling? Why not? If he's got the money and he's going to run it in a professional manner, which I think he will, more power to him. So, yeah. All right. So we're going to go to my notes. But before we do that, we need to get Mac on the line here. So, and by the way, later tonight or tomorrow morning, please make sure you go to onewrestling.com, www. I don't say www.onewrestling.com, and make sure you read Jay Shannon's team report on AEW. Isn't that Def Jam Vendetta? I have a Def Jam story to tell you. So before I get Mac on the line, let me tell you the Aaron Taylor saying I saw NWA and really loved the presentation. It was great. Reminded me of old Georgia Championship Wrestling. But Def Jam. So there was this kid that I used to sneak into the dressing room area at Madison Square Garden back in the early 70s. My wife back then and I, he was a nice kid, and we used to bring him in and say he was our nephew, and he wasn't. And his name was Ricky Rubin. Yeah. And guess what? He turned out to be the Rick Rubin, the man who invented Def Jam. Okay, let's get Mac Davis on the Apter line here, and we will go over tonight's show and see what the Mac Man, I'm going to call him Mac Man. Yeah, hopefully he's there. He told me he was going to be here every week. Are you there?
How are you, Bill?
Yeah, I'm all right. So I just called you. By the way, I said that I love the name of this show now. Every week's going to be Me and Mac, or Mac and Me. So that would make you Mac and me Cheese. So we can just be Mac and Cheese, if you please. But yeah, thanks for joining us. And as you people know, and he'll be back in a few weeks on our regular YouTube shows. Mac is the man who created and stars in our road trip episodes. And you got some good ones coming up from what I understand.
I do. We got a lot of footage that we haven't actually even gotten to yet for some shows and some great speeches from folks that I look forward to sharing.
All right. Now, did you watch, my two fingers here were channel turning almost the whole night. What about you?
I'm a single channel watcher. I watched AEW exclusively. I didn't watch NXT, and I'll tell you why, because I had a feeling this would come up. You know, I think the past year and a half, 2 years, I have not watched WWE programming of any type on a regular basis.
Okay.
I got away from it.
Okay.
And it was AEW and the NWA that actually brought me back in. So, it's not saying that I won't do WWE. I will from but I wanted to earn my watching habits again.
Okay, I got it. You're breaking up a little bit here. So let's try that again. So you haven't watched any WWE shows in about a year?
That's correct. I want to get to the point where they earn my watching again because they kind of drove me away, to be honest.
You got to watch NXT then. You've got to DVR and watch NXT because tonight NXT had a great show as well. So let me call up my notes here and we'll talk. What was your AEW highlight and was there a low light?
There was. Again, this week, it was the first match. I thought the first match set the tone for the night, but I felt like they lost a little bit of steam after the first match.
Now, several other people I talked to on the phone or on IM thought so, too. So the first match was the Young Bucks versus Private Party in the bracket for the tag team tournament, and Private Party won that, and I'm going to say that was a really, really good match. I've seen them in the independents years ago. And what the nice thing was about this, and I'm going to put this in a bracket, was that everyone knows that the Young Bucks, along with Cody, began this company. And they did the right thing by letting another tag team win. Not like, we're the booker, we're going to win.
Correct. And I'll be honest with you, this particular show, and this is the second time I've seen Private Party, but the great thing about AEW is they're bringing us this brand new talent that most people have never seen.
Now, I got to interrupt you for a sec here. You just brought up a point. Talent that people have not seen, right? You did say that?
Correct.
So I think one of the production things that they need to do during the match, because there's a lot of fans who don't know who a lot of these people are, like Orange Cassidy when they showed him in the audience. I wasn't sure who that was for a second. So if I don't know and I watch the product, I think they need to spend a little bit more time on, like during that match, putting Private Party, their names on it or something like that. Just my thought.
I like the opening packages that they did before the match.
Me too.
But they need to do more of that, I believe, especially in the beginning, because the talent does need that exposure as to who they are.
Right, that is correct. Now, fans, we have a lot of people asking a lot of questions here, and we're going to get to your questions. Let's do a rundown of a few of the matches on the show, and then we'll come to your questions as well. And thanks for joining us again. Mac and I are going to do this every Wednesday, except next Wednesday, Mac. I'm going to be in Philadelphia live at the show, so we may have to do our me and Mac and me the following night, possibly.
It's fine with me. Whichever way works for you works for me.
All right. So Private Party beat the Young Bucks, and it was a really good match, very, very action packed. Let's go to some of the fans' questions here. Mac, you okay with that? And then we're going to go down more of the card. All right. So, good evening, Mr. Apter, from Michael Fryer. AEW, Bill Bird, not Big Bird. Hello, Bill. Bill Bird says AEW, best show, NXT, best main event. Okay, so main event versus main event. We had Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara against Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes. I got to tell you something. Dustin Rhodes blew me away.
He's incredible. The conditioning that he has at Page is amazing.
Did you see that thing he did from the top rope?
Yes, I did.
That was amazing. It was amazing. I was waiting for the "You Still Got a Chance."
Yeah, he's around my age, I believe, maybe a little bit younger.
And how young is that?
Let's see, I'm 55 years young, so he's probably around 50.
Yeah, but he was absolutely fabulous in that match, and Hangman Page was really good, and so were the opponents. But Jack Hager standing there at ringside, made the difference in that entire match. And then, of course, the run-in from from their whole gang there, and then the lights go out, and there it took me back. It was like when Dusty used to come out with the white suit on, with the white shirt. It just took me back to see to see Cody rather come out like that, and he got that Dusty pop again this week, didn't he?
He did. I believe he may have bleached that a little whiter this week.
I'm going to find out next time I talk to him. I'm going to ask him about that. But that was it was a fantastic main event. On the other side, on NXT, they had two guys who only have one name each. They had.
I did see that match.
Oh. Kushida against Walter. That was almost like a shoot fight. It was that good. What do you think, Mac?
Walter gets a lot of recognition. I've heard that name many, many times. How long? And again, I'm somebody that's brand new. How long has he been in NXT?
Oh, he's been in NXT for a while, but he's been. He was such a big star in Europe for so many years too. He's a big guy and he's so agile. And those two guys. They had said that this was the first time Kushida lost on NXT, but I would love to see that rematch.
I would too. Like I said, that was the only match of the evening I did see after I turned off AEW.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah. How many of you people, by the way, are watching AEW and either channel flipping or staying around at the end for that last 10 minutes of NXT. All right, let's get back to your questions, and then we'll continue going down the show. Hey, Mr. Bill, what are your thoughts on rapper Mr. P? We answered that already. Just Bill Burr, just for a laugh, NWA should go up against Raw. Okay. If you tune in to their show on YouTube, you can actually do that. D-Bag 0584, most handsome and hated working men in the business. Well, I don't know who he's talking about. The most handsome and hated, unless he's talking about us. All right. Tag match between the Young Bucks and Private Party took me back about 15 years, he says. Yeah. Yes. Bill, thank you for everything you've done for us fans. You're very welcome. And I, with great assistance from people like Mac Davis, who makes all the difference in the world, and what I do as well. We will keep doing this. Brian, hello, Brian. Private Party versus Young Bucks was awesome. It was, and they put Private Party over. We were talking about that beautifully and seamlessly. Mike O'Brien, hey, Mike, some of the guys are just too small. Well, again, it's a different style, Mike. So if you're used to watching the giants of WWE, but no, they are small, and you probably have seen a lot of these guys on the independent companies. What do you think, Mac, about the small size? And this will have nothing to do with Chad Gable when we're talking about this.
I'll say this. I did notice that at the very end of the night when Dustin was wrestling. I believe it may have been Darby, not Darby.
It's no, it wasn't Darby Allin.
No, he came out at the end of the match.
Right. But anyway,
size difference because Dustin went to his knees at one point to do the upper hit, and when he caught him on his knees, he was as tall as the guy standing on stage.
That's right. But short people can wrestle really, really well too.
That's true.
One of the things that kind of bothered me, but it doesn't bother the fans, and it kind of bothered me. AEW is a group onto its own. They have great fans. They have great wrestlers. So when Chris Jericho got into the ring and with Santana and Ortiz and the fans, when Jack Hager was there, were yelling out, "We the people," and Chris Jericho grabbed the mic and said, "We the people suck and it's dead and buried." Okay, that's fine. And then he talked about how bad creative is in WWE. I think that shot didn't need to be there.
No, but I gotta be honest with you, I got a good chuckle out of it.
Okay, I did too, but I don't know. And then, with Jericho saying that the Rhodes family, that Cody was born with a silver spoon, and it says Dusty was a jerk. I could hear Dusty up in heaven saying, Willie, they mentioned American Dream's name. I don't think he would have. And then he said he hates Dustin as well, and he's going to beat the living, we're PG, but SHIT out of him because they are now the Inner Circle. Wrestling's newest group now, Mac and fans, the Inner Circle. On the other end, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, the Inner Circle, I thought was a great combination of guys that they put together.
Yes.
But I was shocked by that one four-letter word that he used. I was amazed.
Yeah, and I guess TNT told him we can go ahead and do that. Lio Rush at NXT put in a great performance against Drew Gulak. The NXT Cruiserweight Championship, Gulak had it going in, and Lio Rush has won the title. And it's so good to see him. You know, he's been down here in Aptors Alley. He was here one night with Renee Michelle, the wife of the Cruiserweight champion, the former Cruiserweight champion, of course, and Velveteen Dream. We did karaoke down at my house. But anyway, I'm name dropping. But I know his passion since I met him the first time at Maryland Championship Wrestling, and I'm just glad to see that the fans were behind him winning that championship. He is so good. And Drew Gulak, he's a young journeyman. And you, Mac, being a wrestler back then, you know what being a young journeyman is like.
Yes.
All right. We then had, and then we're going to get back to more of your questions. We then had number one contender match for who in Philadelphia next week at the Liacouras Center, where I will be at. I will be in the press section. I will be there. So come and say hello. I might have some gifts in my pocket. You never know. You know what I'm talking about, Mac. You know that gift that I give out when I see fans. So it was Darby Allin against Jimmy Havoc, and Darby Allin won, and he will get a title shot next week in Philadelphia against Chris Jericho. What do you think? Who's going to
match?
Yeah,
really, really good match. Darby Allin, to me, is somebody, ever since I saw him wrestle Cody, I thought was somebody to really keep an eye on. And he's another one that we just talked about size differential in the wrestling. Darby, as small as he is still a lot of fun to watch
on
TV,
is.
no matter how short he is.
He sure is. He absolutely sure is. All right, well, let's go back to your questions. Brian, Bill, will you be special guest ring announcer for AEW next week in Philly? Brian, I don't know. They haven't asked me. Give them a call. Bombard them with texts. Tweet them. Tell them you want Wonderful Willie at AEW next week, if you will. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone commentating should not go unnoticed. Awesome job by both of them. I thought so too, but at the beginning, and I don't know if you had this problem also, Mac, did you find them just a little volume was a bit overwhelming from the crowd and you couldn't hear them as well?
Yeah, in the very opening segment, I did notice that the package was a lot louder than their microphones, kind of drowning them out a little bit.
Yes. All right. Mike O'Brien says Schiavone's voice gives the broadcast at WCW feel like a legit competitor. You know, I was chatting back and forth with Nick Houseman from Wrestling Inc. We were cling. And I said, you know what? The show tonight just feels like an old school WCW feel to me. Did you get that feeling, Mac?
I did. I want to bring up something, Bill, because I want to bring this up while we're talking about the matches. One of the things I noticed about tonight that was different than last week is the pacing. While the show was really, really good, the pacing wasn't quite as well as it was last week. It felt like a little bit longer 2-hour show.
I agree.
Last week.
I agree with you. Do you think it has something to do with the sound and the size of the crowd as well?
I'm not really sure. I don't know if they didn't have the crowd mic'd properly, or if it was really kind of that quiet. Because that crowd, as you and I both know, is a very vocal crowd.
Yeah, Boston.
And they can be vocal, but I didn't notice them as vocal and loud, and I didn't notice the show having quite as much energy as it did last week.
Okay, all right. By the way, we have to pause here for 1 sec. Be right back. As you know, somebody's got to pay the bills here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this book is now 4 years old. Mac, is wrestling fixed?
I didn't know it was broken.
Oh, that's right. So the book is still out at your favorite bookstore or your non-favorite bookstore or Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever you want to get it. Everything I've done in the wrestling business up until when this book came out 4 years ago. No, there will not be a second volume. So I'm hawking this right now. Get it now. Get your copy right now. And also, I was so nicely surprised to come in third in the with a group that rated the best wrestling books of all time. Justin Roberts came in first. Slobber Knocker, Jim Ross came in second, and his Wrestling Fix. Um, I didn't know it was broken. My book, the audio book, came in third. So thank you to everyone who voted for that. All right, now let's get back to action here. So some more fan comments. Brian says, I watched AEW all the way through and I didn't watch NXT. Hopefully you DVR'd it. It was worth it tonight. Search One, I watched NXT for 5 minutes. That Swerve dude is pretty good. I just would rather watch AEW. That's fine. And I'm sure AEW appreciated that as well. Derek Kennedy, great opening matches for NXT and AEW. True. Congratulations to both Leo Rush for winning the Cruiserweight title. Let me go back to my notes, Mac. By the way, how are we coming across, hopefully on video tonight? You notice no more dropout. I got my wireless extended here, so we're good. So the Forgotten Sons, Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake with Jason Reichert defeated Breeze Dango, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango on NXT. The guy, I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way, but Killian Dane in NXT, and Mac, I know you're not sure who I'm talking about, but is he a dead ringer for Young Balls Mahoney? Somebody chime in on that. I just want to know. We go back to NXT and Dr. Britt Baker with the AEW Women's Champion Riho. Yeah, beat B. Priestley and Sakura. What did you? I just got a big.
He just did the entire night. You asked me about the highlights and the lowlights.
Yeah.
And this is nothing against the women. I just don't feel that they're up to the par of what we've seen in WWE, and they need a little bit more out of these ladies to really keep that the momentum of the show moving.
Okay.
It felt like that was the area where maybe we hit a speed bump.
Okay. All right. On NXT, Rhea Ripley defeated Aliyah with Vanessa Bourne. NXT North American Champion Roderick Strong versus Isaiah Scott. I loved that match. That was a really, really good match. Roderick Strong was so good, and so was Scott. And Strong retained his title, and the Undisputed Era came in. Have you people noticed, by the way, that Adam Cole, at least to me, is starting to look like more and more like young Shawn Michaels? Just everything about him. He just reminds me of Shawn Michaels. Here's a match that I thought that in AEW that the fan base would go completely nuts over. And I'm talking about Sean Spears with his manager, Tully Blanchard, who interfered several times against Jon Moxley. And it was a good match. But I think I expected something a little different from it. I don't know what I expected. But did you notice that the fans were not as loud as we thought they would be, Mac, or what?
I did.
Okay.
I actually felt that match was a little bit it didn't have the energy, as you mentioned, as what we probably expected. It felt almost even though it wasn't rushed, it felt rushed. Like maybe it came together at the last minute.
Really? Okay. I didn't feel that. I just felt there was just something that just didn't catch. I don't know what it was. The fans just weren't reacting to it like I thought they would. And of course, that at the end of that match, Kenny Omega comes out with a barbed wire bat and broom, both of them, he's the cleaner, with barbed wire on them, and he tosses the bat to Moxley, and all the fans going, holy, holy, and all of a sudden and you think there's going to be a great match coming there, and all of a sudden Pac, aka Neville, runs from the back and hits Kenny Omega with it, beats him up with a chair, leaves him laying there, and you thought Moxley was going to attack Omega, and Moxley just looks at him and walks to the back. What the heck was that about?
Put him to a glass table just a week ago.
Yep, exactly. I forgot about that, but so obviously he's feeling a bit better. Velveteen Dream on NXT talked to the Undisputed Era, and they showed a pinup picture of Adam Cole, I believe it was, or Roderick Strong. It might have been Adam Cole, like the old Jerry Briscoe, Jerry Lawler picture, naked with the belt over his private part there. I don't know why they did that, but Adam Cole is looking so much, like I said, like young Shawn Michaels. But I'm glad you turned the channel to, one other match at NXT, Dakota Kai against Bianca Belair. I become a big fan of Bianca Belair. I think she's one of the best in the women's division, and that was a really, really good match. And then we talked about the main event already on NXT, and the final match, Kushida versus Walter, which was a fight. It was an absolute fight. I thought that match was terrific, Mac, on NXT.
Well, let me ask you, Bill, since you've seen both shows by popping back and forth, did you have a preference of one over the other?
They were both different atmosphere. They were both good. And, it seemed that the video reception, it sounds so old school, the video reception at NXT, it was a clearer picture than AEW. Now you put on NXT for a little while there. Did it look clearer to you?
It did, but my first thought when I saw it was it looked small. When you're watching two shows, a live show with over 10,000 people on it, and then you watch a small show, and you're comparing them as you're going back and forth, there really is no comparison. I would think that the average consumer who's just turning on TV, if they see the two side by side and never watch wrestling, they're probably going to watch AEW because of the size.
It looks like a bit of production, sure. I'm interested now to see what the ratings are going to be this week. I have a feeling that AEW is going to win again, but I don't know if they're going to have as many viewers as they did last week.
No, and I don't know that we'll see the true ratings of either group really for Wednesday Night Wars until maybe once we get past the draft and everything settles down. I think that's what we're really going to see who's doing better than the other.
Yes, absolutely. By the way, I also want to mention something. For all the weeks before you and I have been doing this, I kept technical people told me, how to get you on the phone, and so you would be heard well and all this stuff. And you know what? I went with my old thought, just take my good old LG cell phone here, and everybody hears you. Great. All right, let's go to the fan questions now, since we talked about both shows. And again, check out the NWA Power Show on YouTube. Okay, let's see where we left off. Okay, Ray Rossini. Hey, Ray. Bill, I remember you from the days of Pro Wrestling This Week. Oh, I love that show. And the wrestling magazines. Keep up the good work, Bill. Thank you. And the man who invented that show, Joe Pedicino, had a stroke recently, and his wife, and his wife, Bonnie Blackstone, has been documenting this on her Facebook page. So when all of you get a chance, go to Bonnie's Facebook page and send some good wishes to send some love to Joe Pedicino. Yeah, I loved doing that show. Yeah, that was back in the days when I was with PWI. All right, let's go to the real Frisco, not Briscoe. Rikishi started a new faction called the Samoan Dynasty in APW. I have a Samoan Dynasty shirt from LA Smooth, one of the sons of Afa. And I think the Samoan dynasty has been around a lot longer than Rikishi has been talking about it, and he is part of it as well. Did you know, Mac, that I am one of the Samoans?
I did not.
Yeah, there is Sika, Afa, and I'm Apta. Apta. Yes, if you ever talk to any of them, you just ask them. They will right away perk up and know who I am. Actually, the Rock's mother, Ata, calls me Apta. Biggie 20, Biggie J, Darby is a top prospect. Yes, absolutely. Good young talent. Thomas Cosenzo, will you have a Three Musketeer? I don't have any Three Musketeers down here tonight. I did have a Hershey dark chocolate bar before I came down here, and I've got fruit-flavored Tic Tacs upstairs. Gaming with Rob, Chili Willy, if you will. Rest in peace, Umaga. Yeah, he was part of the Samoan dynasty, too. When do you think... Oh, hold on. This just jumped on me here. Let me go back here. I like the Real Frisco. I like the AEW, but they need some bigger guys. I'm tired of watching puny, flippy, floppy guys in the ring. Each to his own. Each to his own. You can always channel turn and go to NXT. Biggie 21, more like Rollins is turning into Shawn. More like Seth Rollins is turning into Shawn. Well, he is too. Dre Day says NXT does need some real heavyweights. Well, you know what? If you really think about it, you consider Kenny Omega a heavyweight. You consider Chris Jericho a heavyweight, right?
I do. I would consider all those fellas really heavyweights, but I do see the point of some of the AEW guys looking small.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why AEW is here, is to give the alternative to what we've seen from WWE.
Exactly. Gaming with Rob. Bill, you were everywhere during the Attitude Era. I was. Speaking about the Attitude Era, this week on Raw, Lana and Bobby Lashley opening that show with the two of them supposedly doing the thing there in bed, and then the lights go out. Did you see that, Mac?
I did. I hate that storyline. I don't really understand where it's going.
Yeah, I don't either. But a little bit of the Attitude Era coming back. And by the way, all you fans that commented on my comments about the ending of the Fiend, I'll have
to bring that up to you.
I will have a Fiend video of me doing this about 10 years ago. Every year I run it on Halloween. And Seth Rollins, so many of you agreed with me. And then there were some people who I didn't mind disagreeing with me, but to call me names that I can't even mention here on the air, not necessary. If you want to get involved in doing this stuff and commenting with us, be classy. There's no reason why you can't say what you need to and be classy. So for those people that called me all those names that are curse words, I have a sound to make to them, Mac. You know what that sound is? Okay, next, let me go back to the fan questions here. Does Herman's band photographing rings? I don't know what Herman's is. Biggie, I have no idea. Mark Romero, AEW should add one more. They should make the AEW Continental Championship or Light Heavyweight Championship. Well, they just started. So just thinking out loud, I mean, that's a great idea. Retro Extreme, WWE needs boxers and UFC fighters to compete with AEW. Oh, interesting point. AEW will win tonight's ratings too. Interesting that the whole thing with Cain Velasquez and that Tyson Fury. They are importing people from the world of UFC and boxing. And the Cain Velasquez thing, I think is very justified with the Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio storyline. But this is all going over to the Crown Jewel, probably.
That's what I understand. Everything's going to Crown Jewel.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. Bill, can you smash a Coke? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was curious what some of our viewers may think when it comes to the names in AEW they'd like to see that they haven't seen on TV yet.
You people, former WWE people, or independent talent?
Just on their roster currently.
Okay.
AEW has such a large roster that we haven't seen many of the talents in the last 2 weeks.
I'm surprised Brandy Rhodes wasn't on again this week.
Yes.
Yeah, really. All right, let's see. Bill, can you smash a coconut with your head? You know something, brother? Being Opta, I should be able to do that. I will get a coconut somewhere in the next few weeks, and we will try and do it right here, live on the Mac and Me and Max show. Okay?
Yeah, I'll play Roddy Piper.
We'll go, well, that's it. That's your Roddy Piper. AEW is about to start here on the West Coast. So I don't want to give you any spoilers. So all I'll say is, right. Mark Romero, we love you in New Mexico, Mr. Apter. Thank you, and I love New Mexico. Albuquerque, been there many, many times. There's a great song that I loved, and it wasn't one of his big hits. Do you remember Tom Jones?
I'm not going to say yes.
Well, yes. It's not unusual to be loved. Well, he had a song called The Young New Mexican Puppeteer. Listen to it when you get a chance. One of my favorite songs. WWE pretty much pushed away their fans with that terrible Hell in a Cell ending, and adding the dumb Lana Lashley storyline makes no sense. Thus, why AEW is the better product, says Retro Extreme 79. All right. Biggie J2, I popped for what? Oh, you pooped. Well, we don't need to know that about that. All right. So, Mac, it's we're about 45 minutes into our chat here, actually 36 minutes in. So what closing thoughts from you?
Closing thoughts again would be that I think AEW did another tremendous job tonight. They were a little bit less exciting than they were last week, but now last week was the debut show, so maybe I was more hyped for last week's show, and that's why. But I do feel that maybe the show lacked a little something tonight, and I'm sure they'll figure it out and get it fixed for next week.
What do you think, and I want to bring this up, that Hulk Hogan had mentioned that he's got some surgery coming up, and then he'd like to do a retirement match against Vince McMahon. Do you want to see? What do you think?
I really don't want to see that because I know Vince, first of all, is not going to be able to handle a match like that. He's got some age on him, and we know that Hogan, we've seen how he moves around the ring, and it's at a time where I think Hogan needs to step back and manage or, help some of the younger talent, but he needs to stay out of the ring itself.
Okay. It's funny because what I'd like to see is them come face to face, and just as they're going to lock up, something happens to cancel it. But I just want to see them face to face. Dougie Fresh Richards just joined us. Welcome. We were wondering where you were, Dougie. AEW is 10 times better than WWE. Wow, 10 times better. Would 10 times better?
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Let's see what else is going on in the world of wrestling. Have you people been watching? Did you notice that AEW put AEW Dark on YouTube right opposite when Impact Wrestling starts on Access TV on Tuesday nights?
I did. I noticed that.
Yeah. Were you surprised?
I'm not. I think you're going to see a lot of moves like that. It's just a good chessboard game taking place between the two companies right now. Yeah,
actually now it's taking place with Impact on AEW. It's taking place within 3 companies, and I wonder where else AEW is going to go.
And what you also have, like you mentioned, the NWA and their new studio show now.
Yeah. Yes. Brian B wants to know, would I ever buy a wrestling company? I have one word to say to you, Brian. No. I don't want to do that. I love covering it. I love being involved in it, but I don't want to do anything where I would have the chance to run a company. It's just not anything I know I could do very well. Although if I had the right people like Mac Davis, and several other people helping me run things. It might be. Okay, what job would you want, Mac, if I buy a wrestling company?
Lord,
Well, beside head of production and broadcasters, what else?
anything outside that, maybe some side on-air talent.
Okay, well, that's what I was saying, broadcasting. It may be too soon, but eventually I'd like to see a second show from AEW during the week. It's already there. It's on YouTube. AEW Dark right after NWA Power. Wow. Boy, YouTube is becoming, and that's why we're on YouTube, by the way. People want to know what happened to me on the podcast networks and all that. I like this genre better than the podcast genre. I like interacting with you. I can't interact with you all like I can on a podcast like I can here. That's just my opinion. I enjoy doing this with you people. Bill Bird, shouldn't they get some blame as WWE for it? I'm not sure what you're talking about. So, Rashid Need, sir, partially my first uncle, and that's all he said, my first uncle. So, Rashid, we're going to hang on for another minute or two. So, can you please finish your thing? It says, Rashid Need, sir, partially my first uncle. Does anyone know, Mac, do you know what Rashid means?
I have no idea.
Not at all. Also, SmackDown, by the way, their premiere show this past week, the only thing that I didn't care for was that they didn't use enough of the legends. They had tons of legends there, tons of them. And they
I'm sorry, I was going to say they even told Undertaker to stay home. That they
I heard. Yeah. Well, when you don't need an Undertaker.
I'll be honest with you, Bill. When I saw that show on Friday night, I enjoyed the show. Don't get me wrong. I loved The Rock coming out at the beginning. But in the long run, we know that those numbers that they got in the ratings last Friday night are not going to be the numbers we see this Friday night.
Probably
they don't
not.
have that star-packed show. So, the numbers they had were maybe a once a year kind of thing, and that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. As a cliche says, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yes. So, Dougie Fresh Richards, WWE crowd seems dead at shows and not filling the seats. That AEW crowd reminded me for late 90s and early 2000s. AEW is more exciting right now. Okay, that's shouldn't AEW get the same blame for going up against Impact as WWE got for going against Dynamite? Yes, of course. Mark Romero, next time you visit Albuquerque, I'll treat you to dinner. You know what one of my favorite things in Albuquerque was? It was the zoo. One of my favorite zoos. You get up close and personal there. Retro Extreme 79 wrestling every day of the week. Monday Raw, Tuesday Impact, Wednesday AEW, and NXT Thursday, NXT UK Friday, SmackDown Saturday, New Japan. Don't forget WOW, Women of Wrestling. And Wednesday nights we're on too. Put us in that mix. Yes, the Rio Grande Zoo.
NWA.
And NWA too. So again, next Wednesday night after the war, Mac and me and Mac will probably not be doing this show because I will be in Philadelphia at that show. So we will regroup and try and do this Thursday night. And if we can't do it for any reason, we'll just come back at you the following Wednesday. Mac, anything you'd like to say to the Mac and me and Mac viewers here?
No, I just appreciate everybody tuning in and joining us on this Wednesday night, and hope to see you again on the next show.
Yeah, that's great. And Mark Romero ends this perfectly. Great time to be a pro wrestling fan. For Mac, Brian V, hold on. I'm curious, what was Vince Russo's thoughts on AEW Dynamite that he promised to review last week? I don't know. Didn't see it. So hit him up for that, Brian. Until next time, and thanks again for watching all our videos and supporting everything we do. This is Bill Apter and Mac Davis. And Mac, we'll see you
at the match.
Well done, sir. Absolutely well done.